Hello, everyone. This is Kathleen, and I am here today to talk to you about trash. I apologize for my voice. It's still kind of hoarse, but I am feeling much better, and I certainly appreciate all your well wishes. I also wanted to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I was pretty excited when I passed 1,000 subscribers on my channel. I didn't think that that would ever happen, to tell you the truth. And so I really appreciate those of you who follow me and who leave such great comments. And many of you are just so encouraging every time I post, and I appreciate that. So thank you. And I'm just really very excited about that. So this is the second part in the series talking about how to build your stash, where to find junk journal supplies, and what I use, where I find stuff to go in junk journals. And so this is the second part, and it's about looking in your trash. And I know that most of us who do junk journaling understand that we can use trash, but my trash is going to look different than your trash. And so the reason why I kind of wanted to do this was for two reasons. Number one, I want to try to help you see what you're looking for when you're looking at trash, and then to help you understand that the trash can be, found all kinds of places. It doesn't have to be just your own trash. It can be your friend's trash. I know my husband would probably just groan to hear me say that. But yeah, I have some pretty good friends who look out for me, and they evaluate their own trash as well, and pull things out and just so that I can look at it before they throw it away. Anyway, so don't overlook your friends as a possible source of junk journal supplies, because they may have things in their closet, in their trash, as they're cleaning up. I have a really good friend, Isabel, who saves all kinds of things for me, and she knows that I don't always use all of them, but she wants me to take a look before they go in the trash. So I appreciate that. Anyway, let me just show you some of the things that I have, and you may not have this, but hopefully you will understand maybe how I go through the process of evaluating trash and how you can do that too. So I also sew and use fabric. I am a hand spinner and have a lot of yarn and fiber, and so I have different trash piles in my house. I have a trash in my sewing room, and this came from my sewing room. It's just the selvage edge of a strip of fabric that I needed to tear, and because you often have to remove the selvage to use fabric. And so this was the selvage edge, and it went into the trash after I tore it, but then my junk journal mind, remembered that, hey, I can use that as ribbon. And so I retrieved it from the trash, and it just is easy to just use that to make a bow. And that, it can go on a tag, it can go somehow as an embellishment. Anyway, yeah, I use a lot of that kind of thing. So that's pretty good trash, and I'm glad I rescued it. This is also trash fabric, so to speak. The cantaloupe came in this. There were two of them, and potatoes and onions and many different kinds of food sometimes come in these mesh bags. And this was a kind of a really pretty late summer color, early fall, harvesty color. So I wanted to save a piece of that. And there's, a number of ways one can use that. You can use it like in collage, you put it on the paper, and then maybe, put something else over the top. Anyway, it's just kind of interesting stuff. So I wanted to save a piece of that. And then, of course, this is another trimming. I often don't save the whole bag because, that things would pile up too much. So I just trimmed. This also had cantaloupe, I think. Um, but there's a number of different kinds of styles of this sort of thing that you can collect. And then this was just some tissue, that was stuffed inside of a boot, new pair of boots that my husband got recently, and so this is really great tissue. It's rough tissue. It's unbleached and very thin and cheap and easy to tear and use. I can crinkle it and make fabric ruffles. I can fold it like origami kinds of things. Anyway, this is pretty good. How I usually use it is to iron it and then to make a stamped image of some kind that then I can tear and use in collage. Sometimes I also do a rubbing, a frottage with a crayon and some kind of a textured design underneath it, just like when you're in kindergarten anyways, and that can also be used in a collage. So that's how I like to use tissue. Here's another piece of like gift tissue that I've also saved out of the trash. It's folded and crinkled, but that's okay because I'll just end up ripping it and using it for the color probably. This is just a juice lid, and I have just cut a circle out of a Christmas card and put in there, and I'll probably use that as an embellishment on it, like a journal cover. Let me just show you like this. Here's maybe a cover, and that can go, there with the title, something else. I don't know. We'll see. But that's how I would probably use that. You could also punch a hole and use it as a very large charm, something like that. Let's see. Okay, the next thing, all of this stuff that comes junk mail type stuff. Well, let's do food packaging first. Okay, so here's this was a box with a case box of green beans, and so it's really nice, pretty sturdy card like chipboard, and so I would make a cover out of that. Mixed media, probably sand it and paint it or cover it with fabric, but definitely nice trash there. This was a cracker box, and I've just cut it down. It has a really nice texture on the inside, kind of an off-white color, and so perfect for tags. So what I do with this kind of thing is I take sandpaper and I just sand until the ink goes away. Sorry, this is shaking the camera probably. Get a cloth. So it just sands the print off, and then you can journal on it or do other creative things on top of that. I have a couple of cards later that I'll show you, a tag and a journal card made from trash. Okay, so that's how I use food packaging. This is another card that came in the mail. It was some kind of an election promotion, and you can see that I've sanded, and that's what it does. It just removes kind of the ink and allows me to journal or paint or do other stuff on top of that. But these kind of cards are really nice weight for tags, and so that's why I like to save them. Here's another one, just the same kind of thing. This one's a little more sturdy, but that's how I use those. This was just a flyer that came from our insurance agent, and yeah, a number of ways that I can use that. So that's pretty good trash. This is just a note that was in a letter, and I can use that by maybe gluing that on the back of one of these cards and creating, you know, a journaling space. So I save those kinds of paper from the trash. This was another piece of trash fabric. It's a wet wipe from here in my studio, and just I use them to clean up, you know, and so it's just a mop-up rag. Most of the time the colors are very muddy and brown, but this one was kind of pretty. I liked that purpley blue color, and so I could do a couple of things. I could make a little ruffle, like just treat it like fabric, and so I will save that for a while anyway. This was just the envelope that was hanging on our propane tank along with the bill. So I can use this definitely in junk journals. It's kind of an interesting envelope, but I like the color for this time of year. This also came from Isabel, as well as this fun box. Look at that, isn't that cute? I just really appreciate, you know, my friends who know that I'm looking for stuff, and they kind of keep their eye out. So, you know, she was just going to throw it away and thought, well, maybe I'll let Kathleen take a look. So thank you. Sometimes I can catch the peanut butter jar, the new peanut butter, and if I can open it carefully, then I can use that trash. And I have just sent it through the embossing and created this pretty embossed design on that metallic kind of paper. So that's just the lid under the peanut butter jar. This is a beautiful vellum envelope that had an invitation in it, and gosh, that's just lovely, and I'm pretty happy to have that. So the invitation got thrown away, but I definitely have saved this vellum envelope. And then this is a really funky greeting card that came, and it's just an old historic botanical plate, but I just love that, and I will definitely use that in a journal. This is just a little note card that came to me. This envelope, I have saved the envelope, even though it has my name on it. I can cover that up somehow. But this is a really great size. It's kind of smaller than a regular envelope, and so I can use that definitely in a journal. Probably just tuck that in and attach, and then there will be a tuck here and a tuck there. So there's just all kinds of paper that we end up saving. This was some more paper that Isabel sent, just some of that interleaving tissue that she collected from something and knew I could probably use. This is just some kind of a little packaging, and this also came from Isabel's trash, and so I'm glad. It smells really pretty. It must have had some soap or something in it, but I can definitely use that. And then there's the newspaper. We don't get the newspaper regularly, but now and then we'll get one for some reason. And this one, I like the news type for collage. I like the thinness of the paper. I like the neutral colors and the type. I love using the crossword puzzles. This is just this fun, you know, cartoon right there that'll go into collage. Yeah, just all kinds of, you know, things you can use from the newspaper. This was just a piece of paper that was cut off. Obviously, it had something more on it, but it ended up in the recycling pile, and I rescued it because I can hand dye that and put it in a journal. This was a magazine on the giveaway table at the library. I like these. This one happens to be vintage. It's 1983, so I was pretty happy to find that, because vintage paper, you know, starts to yellow, and so I like that. But what I really love about these magazines is the ads in the back, and then I love this kind of business reply card, because I can use that, and especially since that's vintage, that'll just go in my ephemera. But I like to use these kinds of ads in collage. So, and the words, the type, I just like that as a like book page, you know, on the background of a collage. Then of course there are junk mail envelopes. We all know about junk mail envelopes, and I love them like everybody does. I just wanted to remind you that you shouldn't overlook the stamps that sometimes come in the mail. I have another friend, Elizabeth, in North Carolina. She sends me wonderful happy mail, and she always puts pretty stamps on, and so I always am careful to harvest the stamps. And thank you, Elizabeth, for always sending me such fun things in the mail. So there's just all kinds of fun envelopes. The window envelopes are particularly nice. I like to collage on them and use them as pockets. But some of the plain envelopes are also good. This has just a really pretty color. And but you might want to tell whoever opens the mail to be a little careful. My husband obviously opened this one, and so I'll have to trim this if I want to use it, but I really like the color of this envelope, and it's a really high quality, smooth paper. Just interesting. So yeah, that definitely saved that one. And then sometimes, oh gosh, you just get the most beautiful paper in an envelope. Look at that. It's just a bronze. This was a political ad, I think. And this also came from Isabel, and I'm so glad to have it, because I can use this just as the fancy paper that it is. And one way I like to use paper like that is to put it through my little corrugator tool, add some texture, and then I can use strips and use that. That makes really great collage fodder. This is just another piece of paper that ended up in the trash, and it's a vintage paper. I can tell because it's for Lama's childbirth, and the last baby I had is going to be 22 next week. And so yeah, this, I was obviously cleaning up, and this got tossed, and I just kind of retrieved it because it's a good color, and because this text, the type is that kind of 1970s 80s typewriter font. It's just kind of interesting. So I can either glue that and make a journal card, or I can use it, rip it, and use it as collage fodder. Either one. So, and then there are just these little notes that end up coming to you, and you can just use that paper either, again, as a journaling on to glue on the back of a tag of some kind, or I can use the writing as graphics in a collage. This is the paper sack from the Chinese takeout. I really love this kind of trash paper because brown paper, it goes through the corrugator really well, and it also goes through the embossing machine and looks great. So there's so many ways we can use brown paper bag, just as pages in a journal, or as pockets, or as to line the back of a tag. There's just so many ways that you can use brown paper bag. This is just a chipboard from the back of a notebook that is now empty, and so naturally I saved that because that's great cover material. This was a trashed folder. The inside is nicely yellowed, and you can kind of, there's some texture to the paper. It's a nice weight for tags, and so I can deconstruct that and coffee dye it, tone down the color a little. But yeah, that's great trash paper. And then there's magazines. I don't have great magazines in the house right now, but I do occasionally have something that's a little more feminine, and but there's all kinds of ways that I use magazines. I especially like the colors of the paper and the thinness of the paper. I often will emboss it or crinkle it or add texture. This would make a nice journal card, just that much, with some leaves. So yeah, and then I also harvest words. I can take this fall and overlap it onto the sparkle, use this leaf, and make a tag for autumn. Just, just fun things in magazines. This is an old calendar plan book that from 2019 that didn't get used, and so I can now recycle it. This is a great cover material, or the pages, can go into journals. I can make tags, so this is great. And finally, this packaging again is a nice weight chipboard. Makes it very lightweight. See, there's a cover just already made there. So that's great trash as well. So that's kind of the trash I have currently, and that I will end up using in my journals. I just want to show you two things that I've made with this trash. So I made this tag with the cracker box and the tissue and a stamped image there. I used just this little piece of trash cut off, another little strip cut off, and then this came out of the food ads. Just a little, I don't know, an image of some kind. I thought it looked good. And then this is just some fabric strips, torn strips in a bow. This was one of those mailers, and you can see that I have sanded it and distressed the edges. I've put one of the magazine ads, and then another of those stamped images. This came also from just one of the food ads, a phone number that I cut off. And then this was also on the food ad, Spend Life Happy. And I just put a little bit of fabric embellishing there, and that makes a nice journal card. So that's what you can do with trash, and I appreciate you spending time with me today. And so go take a look and see what's in your trash and what you can make. Thanks for being with me.